Welcome to our review on Making Salts 1. First thing we need to do then is cast your mind back to when you were much shorter and you were back in year 7, and what we looked at there was the pH scale. So what we've got are those three different types of chemical. We've got acids, we've got alkalis, and we've got neutral solutions. So acids, if you remember, are pH 1 to 6, and if we add universal indicator, their colours are red, is orange, yellows, and so on. Our neutral is pH 7, and that's got that green colour, and then our alkali is 8 to 14, and it's got the blues and the purples. Now, in terms of what determines the pH, then what we're actually looking at there is the concentration of hydrogen ions. So the higher the concentration of hydrogen ions, the more strongly acidic the solution is, which means it's got a lower pH. In order to determine whether a substance is an acid or an alkali, what we need to do is use something called an indicator. Now, an indicator is just a substance that's going to change colour depending on what solution we put it in. One example is litmus, and litmus will go red in acids and blue in alkalis. Now, one thing that litmus can't do though is tell us how strong the acid or the alkali actually is. It just simply says, yep, this is an acid, or nope, it's an alkali. That's it. One thing we can use that will give us a much clearer indication of this is universal indicator. So universal indicator is better than litmus because it can show us how acidic or alkaline the substance is, because we get that range of different colours that allows us to then associate that with a particular pH. Obviously that does still involve trying to match colours, and if you've used universal indicator you know it's not always easy. So a far more accurate measurement of pH could be made by using a pH meter. Again, if you cast your minds back to year 7, then I'm sure you remember looking at neutralisation. So what we find is, if we react an acid and a base together, we will make a neutral salt and water. When we're talking about this phrase base, then this is quite simply a substance that can neutralise an acid. So what we find is that if that base is soluble in water, it's an alkali. So that's probably what you were taught all the way back in year 7, is acid plus alkali makes the salt and water. Just add in that little bit more knowledge from your GCSE to use the phrase base.